Welcome back, everyone. So on today's video, we're gonna be doing the final pieces to complete that 64 Galaxie behind me, the one that I've been working on all winter. We're gonna be finally finishing it. And in order to do that, meant to buy a new carburetor because the carburetor just was having issue after issue, and then the choke just stopped working altogether. So instead of buying parts and pieces, we just said, we'll try a new one. So now I wanna know, because after looking at all the forums, obviously the two main choices that come across are Edelbrock and Holley. I went with an Edelbrock because they're very street or driver friendly, versus a Holley, it seems to be more of a racing style, constant tuning carburetor, which I didn't want to go with this car because that's not the intention of it. All it's meant to do is drive around and be a good cruising car at the end of the day, which is why I went with the Edelbrock option, because it seems to be very tune it and forget it. So now I'm going to show you the Edelbrock carb I bought. We're going to do an unboxing of it, and then we're going to take the old Autoline carburetor that's still in this car. We're going to pull that out, we're going to put the new Edelbrock in, and then we're going to see how the car starts and runs after, and see if I made the right choice to get rid of that old failing Autoline carburetor and try the new option. Let's get to it. Alright, so to start off with, we got this an Edelbrock 1406 carburetor, which is suited for the Ford 390 FE engine that's in this car. So this is apparently very plug and play. I've never done one of these before. I've never put a new carb on one of these cars. It's always been the factory carb, so this will be the first time I do an aftermarket carb. So let's do the official unboxing. We have our two gaskets here. We have the electric choke wiring that they include with these kits. We have a piece of ready rod to go into the middle of the carburetor to hold the air filter on. And we just have a bunch of miscellaneous parts and assorted hardware in this bag. We have our instructions, which if you're like any guy or girl out there that builds cars, who really looks at these, hopefully I don't have to look at them. Then, this kit also comes with a fuel filter. Now I have one of these on this car, but they come with one anyways, so I might end up putting this one on my Mustang. And of course, the main part to this, which is pre-jammed in this box here. That's a nice looking carburetor. So, like I said, this is the first time I've ever bought a carburetor that isn't the factory one that's just bolt on, plug and play. So I'm really curious how this will work because this was the one that was recommended to me by everybody. So now the biggest change from the Ford 4-barrel carburetor to this one is this nipple here is not your fuel. This side one actually is, so we'll have to reroute that. And this will actually go to the rear of the engine intake manifold. So we'll have to, this will face front. This piece will face front, but the vacuum line tool will have to go to the rear of the intake manifold. So there's gonna be a little bit of messing around. Plus I'm not sure how this throttle is gonna connect, but I'm looking forward to it. And this one also offers the electric choke option versus a stovepipe manual choke option, which this car has. I think it looks hideous. I'm taking it off. We're going electric because that's what I run this Mustang and I love it. And now that you've seen the official unboxing portion of this, let's get this in the car and see how it looks and then see how it performs, of course. So here we are, we're in the engine bay. We got the new carb here. We got the old carb, the air cleaner is still on. So let's get these off of here, get this swapped and put on there. And then I can show you guys how to reroute all your lines and get this thing totally working right. Let's do it. We'll just pull the air cleaner off first, which is all that is. And I'm just gonna take the air cleaner and put it on the ground right beside where we're actively working. So now, old carb. Now I've got the air cleaner off. Let's start by taking off this old stovepipe for the choke. And I believe to do that, you just need a 13 millimeter. Just like that. And now this guy is gone. Now on this side here, we'll remove the old throttle linkage and the spring. That guy, so then take that off. That piece comes off, throttle linkage is gone. Now let's pull the vacuum advance off, which is just simply pulling our vacuum hose, just like that. And now let's pull our fuel line off And to pull our fuel line off, I'm gonna take this little rag and put it underneath because there's gonna be some fuel that comes out of this. And rather than making a big mess, there's our fuel. Yep. Now everything on this carburetor is disconnected. Let's get this old carburetor off of here. And to do that, we need our 11mm socket. Just like so. And now we're just gonna simply lift this carb right off of here. Just like so. So now let's get back to actually putting in the new carburetor. First things first, we'll grab this gasket here. Both gaskets, that's our base gasket. That will go like this. There we go, just like that. That's our base gasket. Now we can put our carburetor on there, which is gonna go like this. Just like that. Carburetor is on there. Now, let's get our screws on. And what we're not gonna do is lose all the screws like I did last time and I had to look for all of them. All right, now that we got the new carburetor in here, we got all of our nuts put on. We're gonna do a quick impact down just to make sure they're all in. So now that we got the new carburetor in, we got all of our nuts screwed down. What we need to do to start reconnecting this thing is our port line for our vacuum advance on our distributor. That can get plugged into this port right here. I might need to find a little bit tighter vacuum line because that one has a good amount of play to it, but hopefully it works for now. Now we need to figure out what we're doing for our PCV vacuum line here. On this car, I don't actually have one that goes to our valve covers or anything, or to the intake. And actually on the old carburetor, it doesn't have one of these either. So we're just gonna plug that off, but I don't have a plug for that right now either because I thought the kit came with one. So I'm gonna need to go buy one of those. So with that being said now, all we have left to hook up is the throttle, our electric choke, put a piece of ready rod for the air cleaner, which we can do right now. Just like this. That's easy. And then we'll put our air cleaner gasket on top of here so it's ready to go. Now is the part where we gotta get our throttle connected and our electric choke. So now on the choke here, we have our negative wire, which just probes right to it. Sticks right in this probe here, just like that. And our positive. Our positive has this little black end on here that just snaps just the same way. Just like that. So with that being said, we got those leads ready to go to get our electric choke hooked up. And now we have our throttle. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure how this is gonna connect. As this is the first time I've ever done this kind of setup, so it looks like that should connect like that, I would think. All right, so what I was fighting with the whole time is getting this little clip here to wrap around this throttle linkage to the existing rod. And because this little clip is actually for a Ford carburetor, I had to bend and twist it a little bit, the flat blade, to get it over top the rod once this rod was into this little hole here, this little hole. So just for future reference, Ford linkages do fit this. You just gotta mess with them a little bit to make them work, but now that rod's never coming out, which is exactly what we want, because we don't want that rod coming out down the highway, because then we would lose all throttle and it would be a very bad day. Let's not do that. All right, so I ended up finding some fuel line laying around the shop that was actually the perfect length for that piece that I was missing. So we got that in, and we also got the electronic choke tied on to a switched power source that I had on that side of the engine from the starter solenoid. So it ended up working out real well. So what we ended up doing, like I said, is I found a piece of fuel line, went from the inlet all the way down and replaced from this piece and hooked onto the fuel filter, and was actually within 2 inches of the perfect length. So that couldn't have worked out any better. Now with electric choke here, I have the ground that's just hooked to the casing of the carburetor, which attaches to the intake manifold, then attaches to the engine block ground, so that should be fine. And then for the positive, I just have run all the way over here to a switch 12-volt power source that I have from the starter solenoid that goes right over here for my splice, for my MSD ignition system here. So the only thing I'm missing now that I'm waiting on order is a cap for the PCV vacuum port, and I have one of those on order. but it'll be a couple days before it's here. So with that being said, we're at the point now that I can start this car and run it and see what this new carburetor is gonna do. If it's gonna start and run better, or if it's actually all hyped up and it doesn't do anything better than the existing one that was in there. So I hope that's not the case and it runs really great. So without further ado, let's go turn our key on. Now I'm gonna try and start this car from the engine bay so I can control what's happening. So all I gotta do in here is simply hit the key and put it to the on position. And now let's try this thing out. So what we're gonna do to start off with is I'm just going to jump for the starter solenoid and we're gonna see if this thing will run or not. Now to start it off, give it a couple pumps. There's no fuel in it, so it's not gonna matter anyways, but the choke is now covered off, which is what we want. So let's try this out here. Couple more pumps. Still nothing. We got fuel. We definitely got fuel there. So more pumps. Oh yes. Okay. Well, that was a good start. Try a couple more pumps. Oh, yes. Woo. Backspin the fuel off a little bit there. Let's try it again. Now it seems to be working way better, but obviously we got a little bit of tuning issues that we gotta do to make it run right, because right now it isn't running exactly perfect, but it's running, so that's better than the previous carburetor. So now that it appears to be working better, let's give it some throttle all the way through the RPM band. That way I can test and see if the engine is shaking or what it's doing. So now with the engine shut off here, I'm actually pretty impressed with how this carburetor works out of the box. I did check for timing and everything off camera, and timing is great. Actually, it couldn't be any better. So I'm actually impressed with this carburetor on out of the box on how well it works. And that it doesn't appear to have any issues, and it just runs immediately and really well. Obviously, I'm missing a cap for this. I just have some tape over for the time being. So now let's go take the car for a drive and see how it actually performs under drive tests. All right, let's try this out. We're in drive. We are moving. So far, so good, it seems. Car's still running, so that's good. We're out of the garage now. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this thing sounds so good out here. It seems to be running so much better now. And it's holding idle really well, so. All right, let's go take this thing for a drive. All right. Seems to be running good. This thing's awesome. This thing runs so much better. This thing drives so much better, you guys. Like it's not even funny how much better that carburetor is than that garbage Autoline one. All right, we're hitting it. So this is awesome. Well, I can tell you that Edelbrock carb works really good because I'm not experiencing any issues with it, and I didn't do much to it to get it to run like this. This is awesome. All right, now that I'm back in the garage here, everything went well. I can't say good enough things about this carb. It seems to run great. I had no hiccups, no problems with it, so I'm calling it a success. Now we'll just shut the car off here. Now let's go outside. I mean, for a plug-and-play kit that you don't have to do anything to, that is very impressive to me because it just, I didn't have to really touch it at all and it just worked. So Edelbrock staying true to their name about touch it once and forget it. Just look at that. No leaks, no obvious signs of drivage or any issues, just runs good right out of the box like that. So if you guys are in the market for a better carburetor to make your car running and drive just like that just did, I would highly recommend checking out the Edelbrock 1406 carburetor. That's what I just put in there. That's what I was recommended for a 390 Ford FE engine. So I have no complaints. It seems to be a great carb. Over the summer, obviously I'll be able to see a lot more and see how it functions under heat, and a lot of variables that we can't control right here. So, but for now, I'm calling it a win. And make sure you guys check out Edelbrock in case you need any carburetors for your car. They seem to provide a really good product, so I'm pretty happy with it. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. The more likes we get on this video, I'll do something bigger for the Mustang next time if we get a lot of likes on this video. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.